Time to take it home on Fourth and Pain, the only pro wrestling show to be hosted by an NFL player and a weight loss champion. Redskins defensive end Adam Carriker on my left.
Hey, Mr. Potato Head.
Hello, former wrestling announcer and potato head Chuck Carroll on his right. This is Fourth and Pain. Just a few minutes left in the show. Follow us on Twitter at Fourth and Pain. And before we get out of here, Adam, wanted to open up the old mailbag, do a little Ask Adam. We got a number of emails here, everything ranging from the NFL draft to some high school football and even a touch of baseball this week.
Now, you can hit us up at Fourth and Pain. You can hit us up at Adam Carriker 94. Just use the hashtag Ask Adam. Ask me anything you want. We're football and wrestling. You can ask me how to unplug your toilet. That's been one of the questions we've answered in the past. Also, at fourthandpain.com, we got the mailbag. Drop your questions in there. I believe most of those are from the mailbag. Also, I'm going to be tweeting out pretty soon a phone line that you can call in. Nobody's going to answer, but we have a voicemail, and you leave your question in the voicemail, and it will be answered on the air.
That's right. And real quick, I know that this is completely off topic, but if you're watching online, I highly encourage you at fourthandpain.com, if you're listening on the radio, go there and watch this segment on YouTube because my legs are tired. I've been sitting on them the entire show, and they are so asleep, I just said, forget it. I'm going to be my natural height.
And I'm going to make sure I sit up extra tall now.
And my head is legitimately, it peaks at his shoulders.
You're like right at my AC joint right here, top of my shoulder.
That is, I mean, just sitting down, you are still a good foot taller than me.
And much better looking.
This is well, I wouldn't go that far.
I would.
I wouldn't.
I did.
Let's open up
It's
that
true.
old mailbag, Mr. Conceited. What about Matt Barkley, Pete and La Plata? What about Matt Barkley? Whatever happened to him?
He was a top 5 pick if he came out of the draft a year ago. Unquestionably a top 5 pick. This year, I think USC had a rough year. I think Matt experienced a little bit of a rough year. He gets the shoulder injury, which prevents him from playing in the Sun Bowl. It prevents him from being able to go through this whole entire draft process. He was able to throw at his pro day. But I think he's kind of one of those out of sight, maybe gone but forgotten type guys. To me, he started all 4 years in high school as a freshman in high school, started all 4 years at USC as a true freshman. Nobody's ever done that before. This guy is being overlooked. I would take this guy, if we needed a quarterback, which we don't, but I would take this guy if I was an NFL GM as the first quarterback off the board.
Well, if I'm him, I'm going to be feeling a little bit dejected right now because I know he came out and he said he will not be in New York City for the draft itself. So that tells me he's not expecting to go, obviously, night one. So he's, being realistic about it, looking at 2 or 3.
Well, we have a question about Geno Smith on here. If I'm any of the quarterbacks in this draft, I don't go to New York because they could honestly go top 5 or they could fall all the way to second round. Any team 1 through 9 could take them, but none of them are rated that high from all these draft experts. There's a need there, but if those teams don't take them, there's nobody from 10 to 32 that needs a quarterback. They could drop all the way to second round. You don't want to be sitting there. You don't want to be Aaron Rodgers, who turned out to be one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, if not the best, but you don't want to experience that on draft day, so I don't blame them.
Well, that tells me that there could be quite a few mid to late first-round moves maybe to get one of these
There
guys.
could be, absolutely, a lot of trade-ups, absolutely.
Walt in Fairfax, moving on. Walt in Fairfax writes, Geno Smith has gotten a lot of criticism with the scouts as of late. Is this criticism undeserved?
It's tough. A lot of scouts, basically what was written, I'm paraphrasing, what was written is that he's lazy, he doesn't work that hard, he's not a good leader. It's from the same scout that bashed Cam Newton a couple years ago. You got to remember, things came out about Robert last year that he was selfish, he didn't work hard, and none of those things are true whatsoever. So you got to take these with a grain of salt. Maybe some scouts just want to get their name out there. Maybe there's legitimacy to this. From what I understand, he's never met Geno Smith. This is from sources that he's talked to that have met Geno Smith. And even if you meet him, if you talk to him for 20 minutes, how good of a feel can you get for a guy? So for me, it's tough because how well can he know this guy as an individual up top in his mentality?
Sources. You got to love those sources. I never...
Especially the what, unknown or unnamed, whatever they are.
Exactly. Speaking on the condition of anonymity.
There you go,
I mean,
anonymous.
This is the one time of year when the scouts are relevant, and I think that you hit the nail on the head when you said perhaps he was just trying to get his name out there. I don't know, but good Lord, Geno Smith, can't judge him yet. Gabe,
I might be 2 foot taller than you, by the way. Anyways, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I'm shrinking. See, now I'm just kind of slumping down.
See, I'm sitting up extra tall. You got to check this out online, folks.
Fourthandpaint.com.
Seriously, it's like I'm at the North Pole with one of the little elves.
Yeah, be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube as
I
well.
love you, man.
Thanks,
love you.
Santa.
I love you.
All right, here we go, Overgrown. I'm a high school football player and wanted to start getting serious about lifting. Hey, this is right up your alley. Gabe in Germantown, what would you recommend? high school football player wants to get serious about lifting, what are the first steps?
Do you know if this kid's a football player, basketball? I mean, I need to know.
Well, the
what
fact
sport
that
is
he said
playing?
he's a high school football player.
Oh, he did say
kinda
football
tips his
player.
hand.
Okay, I don't pay attention to what you say. All right. The three main lifts you can do: bench, squat, clean. You've also got to balance those out on the squat. You're using a lot of your quads. You need to work your hamstrings so you don't have an imbalance in your body. On the bench, you're using a lot of your pecs. You're doing a lot of pushing, so you should do some pulls, as in rows and pull-ups. On the clean, hey, you don't want to go heavy on cleans. You want to be fast, and you want to have good technique. Those are the 5 lifts I would start out with, and just make sure you're in good shape.
Look at that. And I love the fact that the kids are turning to you for advice now on lifting, because that proves to me that you have really solidified yourself as having the largest arms on the D line. You've branded yourself that way.
Well,
my
if
friend.
people want advice on walking up and down stairs, they can talk to you.
That's true, and it's running up and downstairs. Thank you, Michelle in Rockville. Where do you think Manti Te'o will be drafted?
Man, to me, this is kind of similar to Geno Smith, Matt Barkley territory. He's not going to be a top 10 guy. He's dropped out of there. He could go as high as 19 to the Giants. He could go as low as 32 to the Ravens. I would say somewhere between 19 and 32. He also refused to go to New York because there is a possibility with all the media that could follow him, almost a Tim Tebow-esque type effect, that teams might shy away from him as well. He could be a huge distraction. So I think that's why he avoided New York. To me, it's somewhere between 19 and 32. He's too good a football player to drop out of the first round, but I doubt if he goes above the Giants, who are the first team with a real need at middle linebacker.
And, points to Geno Smith, points like Manti Te'o, it just makes me laugh so hard at the first mock drafts that come out in December, for goodness sakes. And they are always wrong. I mean, could it be more wrong if the guy doing the mock draft his name was Wrongerson? It's a joke. You never know.
Did you steal that out of John Cena's Book of Insults right there?
No, that's a Chuck Carroll exclusive.
I wouldn't claim that.
Oh, well,
Go ahead.
I will. I'm
Go
proud
ahead.
enough. I
Wow
don't
the
care.
masses.
My shame it's out there for all to see.
Wronger. That's
Wrong,
terrible,
Wrongerson.
terrible
All
son.
I'm saying is you never know about anybody until they get drafted. That's why Tom Brady went in the 6th round and went on to have this illustrious career. That's why, a guy like London Fletcher, undrafted, goes on and he has a career like this. And how many first overall busts have there been? Quite a few. You just don't know. Bottom line, you just got to wait and see where the guy goes. Baseball question, Bill in Washington. What are you expecting out of the Nationals this season? Can they repeat as division champions?
Bryce Harper, MVP. Strasburg, Cy Young. Nationals, World Series champs.
I'm telling you, what an exciting time. I know that this has been talked about, but what an exciting time for Washington sports, which not more than 18 months ago were being written off as a joke. It was a joke sports town. And then the Nationals come out of nowhere. They win the division last year, weren't supposed to do much of anything. Washington goes on, obviously, you know this, the Redskins goes on the 7-game winning streak, gets their first division title since 1999. And suddenly, hey, man, outside of the Wizards, we got ourselves an exciting little sports town.
Well, the Wizards had a slow start, but I believe they picked up about halfway through the season. John Wall's playing well, and so you never know what could happen next year. They get off to a much better start. They could be in the thick of things.
Right, eliminated from playoff contention, but you never know what will happen next year. Turning back to football, Darrelle Revis. Rich in Falls Church is curious, should the Jets trade him? What would you give up for him? Should the Skins be interested?
Oh, man. Well, we've got Josh Wilson and D. Hall, so I don't think we're interested. Plus, we have no cap space what's a frickin' ever. So I don't think that's going to happen. He's a great player. Love to have him, but it's not going to happen. As far as the Jets, man, that's tough because you got probably one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL, arguably the best. He's coming off an ACL. He's probably going to be fine with that. Guys come off ACLs now, and they're just fine. The dilemma is he's got 1 year left on his contract, and he's going to want a big deal at the end of that. So do you keep one of the best players in football, or do you trade him and try to get a bunch of draft picks? How much can you get for him? It's why I play football, and I'm not up in the boxes. In my mind, I don't know how you get rid of one of the best players in football. I guess that's how I would look at it. But this is why I play on the grass field, and I'm not up there making the tough decisions, I guess.
Last question comes from Nick in D.C. How appropriate to end? How big are your arms?
Oh, man. How big is your waist? Probably about as big as your waist. You got a much smaller waist these days,
I'm a 32.
though.
I'm a 32.
You're a 32. All right. In all honesty, my arms are 22 inches. Actually, last time I measured, they were 22 inches plus. But they're roughly 22 inches.
Well, you know who was scared to measure last Monday night at Raw was Ryback.
Oh, man, that was a couple weeks ago, but he did duck us, but apparently he likes to get ready for the show early. He wasn't scared. I don't buy it.
Well, they're coming back in May. I say that we try to set it up again.
I love it. I love the idea.
Let's do it. Let's do it. But for now, we are fresh out of time. I'm Chuck Carroll. Thank you so very much for believing in our weirdness.
I love that I'm towering over you right now. I'm Adam Carriker, 22-inch pythons, largest arms on the D-line. Peace out, Fourth and Painters.
So long, Giant Gonzalez.
See you, midget.